Hello, everybody, and welcome to Anno 1800. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it so very, very much. As you can probably tell from what you're seeing, this series will not be starting from a completely blank canvas. But in fact, this playthrough did actually start as a blank canvas in a completely open sandbox mode with no AI opponents. It was just me and the open world. However, what you're seeing in front of you and everything that has been accomplished up to this point was actually completed live while streaming on Twitch. And I'm sure many of you tuning in may have actually jumped over here to YouTube specifically to pick things up where we left off. And for those of you out there who may be interested in taking a look at some of that action, all of the VODs from my Anno 1800 streams have been highlighted and categorized on Twitch for your convenience. As for now, what I would like to do is start you all off with a tour of our main island here, as well as take a tour of our entire map so you can get a feel for what we have set up on all of the islands and what we have in store for us in the future. Then, after that, what I would like to do is set up the premise of this series and what our ultimate goals will be when we get done with everything we have in mind. Okay, are you ready? Let's go. I hope you enjoy the scene. Isn't that beautiful? This game is fantastic. One of the best games I've ever played in my life. And certainly one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. It is truly, truly remarkable. Okay. If I hit a button, we get out of that. And we're over here. And we're doing the things. So, as I said, we have our... this is our main old world here that we started with. And the basic premise for what you're seeing is... After having completed the campaign, which was the first thing I did when I started playing the game and started streaming it, is I felt like I had learned enough by playing the campaign that I was like, you know what, I would really like to start from scratch and kind of do something really big and bold with everything I've learned instead of trying to continue on with some of the half measures I had taken up to that point. So we decided to do that. We started from a completely wide open, fresh map with nothing on it whatsoever. Obviously, no AI. We just have the people we're trade with, of course, and then that's it. So, from there, I decided that the premise of the playthrough, from the very beginning, before we started anything, what we would do is that we would have this entire game be built on the premise of eventually getting around to building one island on the map that was completely based on imports. That island, which is not this island, this is definitely not this island, that island will become Import Island, and the whole premise will be that they produce absolutely nothing on the island, and it will consist of all imports and all the beautiful things. It's going to have the museum and the zoo and the botanical gardens and the World's Fair, and that was the plan from the very beginning, is to have it be exclusively a high-end island that's got nothing but the good stuff and all imports. Everything's going to be brought in. So in order to do that, I realized that I was going to have to make some sort of an island, starter island, that would be capable of doing all of the things, getting to the highest levels. And then, of course, having a number of islands around it that would support that and have things set up in both the old world and the new world to feed into that new island. Import Island. So, to get there, as you can see, we've gone through a lot. This island looked quite a bit different just a couple weeks ago, really. We've gotten rid of a lot of production that we had in here and up through here, and we had a lot of stuff built into here that we got rid of. And essentially what that was to do is to get other islands set up to be the exclusive home of certain products. And we'll get to that very shortly. We do have some oil up in here that we've got going. And we do have one small little museum here that I set up just kind of to play around with a little bit. But we never actually got anything done with it. We've been saving all of our goodies for the main island. And so this is what we ended up coming up with. This is fully detailed. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I really wanted to make sure that before we got this started that in addition to having all the islands set up for this series so that we can progress into what we want to do, I wanted to make sure that we started off the series looking at the beginning of what's capable, or what we're capable of, But really, in the end, I want this to be just scratching the surface. I want beyond this 10 times fold. And I hope we can get there. And I hope you'll enjoy the journey with me. So, this is it. This is this island. And now let's take a look at some of the other islands that we actually have set up here. Let's move this way. And over here we have... I call this Oil Town because it's really... all we really do on this island is we pull this oil out of the ground and we send it to our main island. And I guess what we also do is we are set up, if needed, to build steamships. So that's kind of part of what we can do here. We got a little bit of production to make that capable if we needed to. I actually did make, I think, three battle cruisers, I think, in order to do some of the missions, in case missions came up to do some of the things where you needed boats. We just built a couple battle cruisers to do that kind of thing. And of course we send a battle cruiser on all of our missions, or expeditions, if you will. So that's that island, not a whole lot going on there. Over here we have what I call Pittsburgh, and this island was built on the premise of being Steel Town, because this island had two iron and 2 coal, which meant we could make lots of steel and do lots of things. And that's essentially what we do over here. We make a lot of the sewing machines, and we have some extra steel that we ship out as well. And we also actually do some of metallurgy along the idea of making the brass as well over here. So we got lots of stuff going on this island. And I think we actually do... we have some limestone, which we aren't shipping enough out of because we can't shut the storeroom door. And we have some copper over here that we're using to make the brass in that as well. So we have a lot going on in this island as far as dirty industry is concerned, that's for sure. Now moving along, we have over here what I call French Edison. And the reason I call this French Edison is that we make the wine here, the grapes, and the wine, or well, sorry, wine, champagne, if you will. Champagne is just sparkly wine, I guess, right? And then we also make the light bulbs. French, champagne, Thomas Edison, French Edison. There you go. So this is what we do here. Very simple. Like you can obviously tell that this island was made after we got a hold of the commuter piers. So with the commuter piers, we don't actually have to build the towns and stuff to support the industry because we just commute in. So that's that. Next on the list is Pepperidge Farms. That's right. We were unable to make peppers on our main island, so we went to the nearest island that could, and we called it Pepperidge Farms. So we make the peppers, and we make the things, and we make the stuff, and when it all comes out the other side, we have canned stew, I guess? I guess they're making, what do they call it? They call it goulash, so canned goulash, I guess, is what we're making. So the canned goulash is made here. Now, I think that we probably make enough here that we will satisfy our needs for the projects that we'll be taking on throughout this series. If we have to, we can expand, I think, one more time our pepperidge output. I think we have just enough room. We could probably do that here and keep it under within this area. So that might be a project at some point we have to do during this series is expand our pepperidge. But we may or may not have to do that. We'll have to see. Next on the list, I think this island's empty. It sure is. Although it is capable of making more steel if we ever needed to. That's something to keep in mind. Over here, we have what I like to call Ireland. The reason why we call it Ireland, originally I called it Ireland because there was no potatoes. And at the time, I was looking for a place to make the schnapps, but there was no potatoes. So I was like, you know what? Let's make the beer here instead. And then, of course, beer carries on the meme. Ireland, beer, no potatoes. There you go. So, yes, as you can see here, this is where we make the beer, all of the beer. We have our wheat farms down in here, and we have our hops farms over here. And that's all taken into warehouses. And then down here, we have our setup for making our beer. And clearly, we have enough room if we need to. In fact, even if we don't need to, I kind of would like to expand this to the 3rd level because I think it'll look really good.
Your leadership.
The people of Pepperidge Farm celebrating our leadership. How wonderful of them.
Has grown more beautiful.
More beautiful. Fantastic. Thank you very much, guy talking. So yes, we could potentially expand this to a third realm and or third level of production over here and make some really good stuff. I'm really looking forward to how that could potentially look. And the next island over is actually where we did find the potatoes, and we are making the schnapps. So you can see here, we actually, in a lot of cases, we're actually over on storage. We're making more schnapps than we can deal with. So we should have enough, without a doubt, to accomplish what we need to going forward. But again, it would kind of look nice to even complete that and make another row there and another row here and stuff like that. And I actually call this golden schnapps, this island, because we actually import the raw gold from the New World and bring it in here, and we mix it up with the coal to make the actual gold. So this is where we actually make the gold, and currently we ship that to our main island where we use it to make all of the stuff with the gold. And going forward, we may need to get more gold actually moving, and in which case we would send it here again. And I think we still have enough coal on this island to make like double this, so we should have plenty. And yeah, so that's where that goes on. And what else do we have? I think we have one more island. No, two more islands to take a look at. We have this island here, which we call Babe Island. And the reason we call this Babe Island is not the reason you're thinking. The actual reason is because of the pigs. And of course, Babe is the most famous of all pigs. That's right. We have the pigs doing the stuff. So in here, of course, we have a really nice layout. So I'm actually really happy with how these layouts turned out. We are making the sausage, and then we could continue this layout in either direction as far as we want and have it continue to look the same way it does. It's this very simplistic kind of thing to do. And the same thing up here, you could do a whole other version of this again if we needed to, making the soap. So we have room to do that. And then other things on this island that we will eventually probably be setting up during this series is we may have to make more furs. This island does have the capability of the fur abundance, so we'll probably have to make some more furs here. And we'll probably have to make more cotton in the New World and bring it in. Because we do have an island, the last island on this area that we want to take a look at, that actually is capable of setting up the to make the furs, but it's kind of running out of space, and I think we may need more furs to satisfy all of the peoples that we're going to need on this new island. So that'll probably get done here. We do have the ability to make more of the steel, so it's possible we'll make steel here, and there's oil here as well. If we need more oil, we could definitely pull some oil out and send that over. We will definitely be pulling the clay in here. We'll be pulling that clay up in order to send it to the main island that we'll be doing. We'll probably definitely, almost certainly, do the fish in here and set it up so that the fish can be taken in as well, and probably even use some of this space to make some clothing as well. So there's a few projects to do on this island that I actually purposely left at the end of the Twitch playthrough for this series,
now,
in order to see.
Matter of ideally, one should keep one.
Yes, I will try to do that in the future. Not too many changes. Oh God, let's make some changes. Leading up to this, the last few papers all came to me perfect. I never had to do anything, and then now it's like all of a sudden they found all the ugly stuff for you guys to see. All right.
Censorship is not.
Yes, censorship. Yes, quiet. Shh. I'm talking. I'm talking to the people. Everybody, just be quiet. Okay. So, I did purposely leave some of these projects to show on the YouTube series so that we could just kind of get an idea of the processes that happen before the importing, which is of course the manufacturing of the goods, and then of course the exporting. So this is going to be a main export island. We will set up a really cool system of docks in here, and we will send all of that stuff across this bay. And on the other side of this bay is a very important island. Don't tell anybody. Okay. You didn't see that. Okay, over here, sorry, just being silly. Over here, the last island I want to take a quick look at for you guys is where we're making the furs. And we call this Hudson Bay. Quick story there, Hudson Bay. I'm from Canada. Hudson Bay is the oldest company in Canada. In fact, it's one of the oldest companies in the Americas. And it's actually goes back hundreds of years, back to the fur trapping days. And they controlled a very large portion of the upper Canada region in the northern parts. And they were big, heavy into the trapping of the furs in the fur industry and the selling of the furs. And of course, you can imagine 200-300 years ago just how important that kind of industry would be. So this island has got all the furs, and we've filled up all the land with the fur trappings. And then we've made just enough room down here by the docks to set up not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 of the fur dealers. And we're bringing in, so the cotton's actually getting imported from the New World. So the cotton comes in, we mix it with the furs, make the fur coats, and then we ship it out. So that's what happens there. Speaking of the New World, let's jump over there and take a quick look at what we've done over there. So, over here, let's actually come to this point right here. This is Plymouth Rock, because it was the first thing I could think of as far as a new place in the New World. So, this is our main island that we started with, and it's got a lot going on. We do a lot of things here. A lot of the supplies that our other islands need, in many cases, are made here and shipped to those other islands here in the New World in order to support, in particular,
you are a true revolutionary.
To support the happy obreras, if you will. So we make lots of the plantains and the stuff like that, and we make a whole bunch of the hats. I think this is the hat factories, and we make the tortillas or the enchiladas, as my Twitch chat likes to call them, the enchiladas. And we're making lots of the ponchos and stuff like that. All this kind of stuff out here. Making lots and lots and lots of it. Alright? So, what else do we do on this island? Well, on this island, we do a lot of the farming. We do a lot of the farming. We do all of our coffee here. We do all of our cotton here. And we do a fair amount of the corn here as well, because we of course need that for the tortillas. So yeah, this island's capable of doing a lot, and it does indeed do a lot. We've got cotton manufacturing going on here in a big way. We of course have all through here. We have a lot. Oops, that's the wrong building. We have a lot of the coffee manufacturing. One thing I had was you need a lot of cotton. You need a lot of coffee, and you need a lot of rum. And we are right at our limits on this island for space, pretty much. So if we need any more of the cotton, which I think we definitely will, or any more of the coffee, which we may, in fact, need, we will have to do that on a different island, which we'll take a look at in a minute. So this is the island. This is the main island where we started in the New World. And it's kind of exciting to be here.
I wish I could see your great cities in the old world.
I know. I'll take you on a trip sometime. Okay. Let's go over here to the next island. The next island over we call Cuba. And I bet you could imagine the reason we call it Cuba. That's right. It is where we make the cigars. So right now we have 8. We have 8 fields set up making the tobacco, and a couple of the big factories making the cigars. And I think it's pretty much just barely covering what we currently use on our main island. So as we need more for Import Island, we will probably need to, at the very least, double our output, I think. And I'm hoping there's enough room here, as well as maybe some room up in here, and then down here on this end, to at least be able to double what we're currently doing. And then we'll see if that's enough. Now, what that will actually do is require more people. We have pretty good people here, but we probably need more than that still. So we'd have to probably find room. Maybe even use this room up in here, this space, to make more room for the people. Just like that. Now, what else do we have going on? Let's take a look at another island. Let's take a look at another island. So, over here, we call it Ivory Coast. Why do we call it Ivory Coast? I'm going to tell you right now why we call it Ivory Coast. Because we make the cocos. And what some of you may not know, or maybe a lot of you don't know, I just happen to know it because I saw a video on or a YouTube segment. Was it YouTube? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it was on the news. I don't know. Anyway, something like 85 or 90% of all the cocoa produced in the world is produced in the Ivory Coast. And I think there's another country adjacent to the Ivory Coast that makes a lot too. But those two countries are actually combining to make a cocoa cartel, if you will. And they're actually going to be increasing. You should actually see quite an uptick in the cost overall of cocoa goods in the future because they are increasing the costs to the consumer. Anyway, just a little bit of trivia for you. Okay, next. We have a lot of space on this island, and what I would like to do is we'll likely probably need cotton and coffee, we think. Very likely need coffee and cotton. And this island's got plenty of room left, so there's a good chance as we need it, we will use our ability to make more cotton and more coffee for the old world. And of course we have lots of room over here because we may probably need more pearls. So as we need more pearls, we'll set that up along with this. Just like that. Alright, so there you go. And the other thing too to keep in mind is we actually don't make the sugar here, so we actually import the sugar. So the sugar production's done here. And then the sugar refining, I should say. And then the sugar refining
We are out of room.
and the cocoa is made into the chocolate over here. And of course, you can see we're actually making more than we need at the moment. And we still have plenty of room to double that up. Our production up there and double our production here. So there's lots and lots of room on this island to do lots and lots of things. Which we will probably be doing. Now, moving on. What else do we have on this new world of ours? We have Jamaica. And in Jamaica, what do? We make the rum. We make the rum, man. Yes, sorry for the bad accent. Jamaica. We do the rum. This is another one where we may actually have to go to a new island to make more. We may have to start actually a brand new island to do it, because I don't know if we have the ability on any of our existing islands to make the sugar
The people
that we
celebrate your leadership.
and have
Your
the space
city
as
has
well.
grown more beautiful.
So,
People
oh my
celebrate
God,
your
celebrate!
city
Just
has
leave me
grown
alone. I don't have time for your parties. All right. So you need a lot of rum. You really do need a lot of rum. It was, and through this playthrough, the one thing I learned, I could never figure out a way to get enough rum. I got like 4 ships sailing back and forth between the worlds filled with rum, and they just barely have enough. It's crazy. So we've made more and more and more rum, and more and more and more rum. And here you go. There it is. There you go. So we'll probably need to make more of that. So that's something to look at in the future. And then finally, one more island here. And that is... we call it Rubber Island. I couldn't think of anything creative to call this island. Just couldn't do it. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't think of anything creative. But this is where we make the stuff that makes the rubber. That's all you need to know. And if we need to make more, there's some room to make more. But you don't typically need it. You actually don't even really need all that much. So that's perfectly fine. Just like that. So let's go back to the old world. And let's take a quick look at that secret island that you all wanted to take a look at. All we have done is create our main storage area, our small trading post, if you will. And in the future, this will be filled with nothing but docks, and ships will be bringing stuff in from all over the world, to be imported to this island, Import Island. And the basic idea, just to get you set up for what you can expect to come, not just in the next couple episodes, but really the future of the series, is this section right here. Oops, this section right here. I'm going to set up what will kind of be the staging ground to create more of the housing. So what we'll do is I'll have all of the buildings required to upgrade through the different levels, all the way up to engineer, available in this area. In addition, we'll be importing all the stuff that you need to upgrade through those levels. And so what we'll do is we'll just plop down the housing within this grid that we'll create, and it'll upgrade. It'll eventually upgrade to the point where it's like, hey, you can upgrade us, and then we'll upgrade it to workers, and then the workers will also have all of their needs present, and they will upgrade. And so then we'll be like, okay, upgrade them to the artisans. And then the artisans will have everything that they need to get upgraded. And so they will get to the point where they'll say, hey, you can upgrade us. And we'll upgrade them again. At which point, we will be able to move those over here to our main staging area. Or not staging area. Our main finishing area for where we'll have the main part of our island, which is this central area here. It's going to be a big, giant, open, kind of square-ish area. Rectangular-ish area of nothing but mass housing. It's going to focus mostly of investors. It's going to be focused mostly around investors, probably like 75-80%. But there will also be a small portion of engineers in some areas, just to create maybe a little bit of variety and stuff. And yeah, just to I like the look of the engineer buildings pretty much as much as the investors. So why not? We could just mix them in and have it look pretty good. But in addition to all that, there are some other things that we're going to be doing. So while this beachfront over here is going to be Import Alley, down here will be the area where we bring the people into the city. And so this area right here, this entrance, this will be where the people join the island as a tourist. And then we'll have a nice little staging open area. We'll have some nice parks and walk-through areas and have it all nicely fixed up before the actual housing starts. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to have a kind of a pathing area that's almost like a touristy path that leads to all the different attractions. So coming down here, it will come to here, and in this area will be the World's Fair. So we'll fill this up with not only the World's Fair exhibits, but with lots of beautiful things as well. And then the path will continue all along straight down here, and we'll have the museum that will fit up in here. So the museum will just kind of fill up in this area, and we'll just fill in the area and make it look as good as we can. And then we'll continue from there, and the pathing will come all the way down here. And on this little section right in here, not all that little, we will make the zoo. So we'll probably start the entrance here, perhaps, and have it move out, and then just kind of maybe venture its way up into here and come up into here and fill up all this area. And then we might have even a separate area that could be, well, the game will probably consider them both entrances and exits, but we may have kind of a double entrance coming up and around and back through. We'll have to see how it ends up looking. But maybe we'll do one or maybe we'll do two. We'll have to see. And then finally, the path for the tourists will come all the way down here around this side of our main staging area. I keep calling it a staging area. The staging area is down here. The main living area where all the people will live in this middle section. Down this side will be the botanical gardens, down this little coastal area here. So really, you'll be looking at probably a line straight through here. That will be part of the residential type area. And then on the other side of this line over here will be where the botanical gardens lives. Fantastic. So that's the overall look of what you're going to be having to see as you make your way through this series, as I make my way through this series, and show you guys all of the things I have in my mind as to what I want to do. And of course, I'd love to hear your guys' ideas about what we can do as well. I love the input. Don't be afraid to leave some comments down below about some of the stuff you'd like to see. And of course, make sure you like this video if you did enjoy it. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. I'm going to be coming back at you with more of these episodes as soon as you can believe it. In fact, I'm not sure if it's going to be every single day, but I would count on at least 3 or 4 or maybe 5 episodes a week. And of course, we also have Transport Fever 2 content on this channel. We have Civilization 6 content on this channel. And then there's all kinds of new series coming up in the near future for many different games. So thank you very much for joining me for episode 1 of Anno 1800 Import Island. and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.